So here we have the start screen of Adobe Illustrator, and you can see you can either start by creating a new file, or you can open a previous file that you already saved, and then it also gives you the option of just jumping into it based on the particular resolution or the particular device that you're creating for. So I'll just go ahead right now and choose A4 to be simple. Okay, so here we have it. So in here is called our artboard. So our artboard is what you would call your page in another document. So an artboard is what happens right here in the middle, and then you have the workspace, every other icon all around here that contains your tools, your different properties, your different settings that you can choose. All right, so I'd just like to one important thing to note, in case you open up your own Adobe Illustrator and it doesn't look exactly like this, it might be because of this particular setting up here. You can see I'm on Essentials Classic. So let's say, let me go to Essentials, so you can see the entire layout, it changes. So I usually like to work for starters in Essentials Classic, so you can just take note of that because of the array of tools that are available for me to use. All right, so we just quickly create a small graphic so that you can just get a cool idea of how Illustrator works. Libraries is a very important aspect you're going to be using in the application, and it contains all the different files, all the different source files that you use in creating your eventual product. So let's say I have here a vector of a cloud. I have a vector of a plus sign. I also have a vector of the gear icon, which is the popular settings icon in here. So let's just say I wanted to create a logo for a company called Cloud Plus. All right, so I can just drag this in here into the artboard. You can see that you just simply click over here and drag into the artboard. So once I click and I release it, so I have it there. You can always move around, you can always resize your items in the windows. Now one thing I would always like you to note, so you can see here as I'm trying to resize, it's practically deforming the cloud, and that's something you should take note of when you're trying to design. It's very important to take note of the proportions of the width to height, resolution, or aspect ratio, whichever you wish to call it, and as much as possible try to maintain the proper aspect ratio when you're trying to resize. So I'm going to press Ctrl Z now to undo all the manipulations I've done so far. So whilst dragging at the corner, make sure you are holding down your shift button. So I'm going to hold down my shift button, and as I drag in and out, no matter how much I drag, that aspect ratio, that ratio of my width to my height, keeps the same. It's maintained all through. So that's always very important to do. So you hold down your shift and then you can adjust, because this helps your design have a clean look and not just look like it was something thrown together by an amateur. So I'm going to drag this a little more, and now I'm going to bring in my plus vector so we can see it here. So I can drop it here. Okay, so it's in the original size. So same thing, I'm going to hold down my shift button. I'm going to resize it all the way down. So I just want the plus to be somewhere in the corner of the cloud. So I'm going to use my arrow keys to just nudge it up there. So I think that looks pretty good there. So I'm going to bring in my text. So you remember we said we're creating the logo for Cloud Plus. So I click my type tool, or you can just press T on your keyboard. And once I click there, you can see lorem ipsum is the default text that comes up. So I can just do Cloud Plus. All right. So I can highlight it, double click to highlight it. I have here my font Mirrored Pro. So let's say I want to do a new font. I kind of like Gotham. So let's do Gotham Book. Okay, that looks good. The size is 12 points. I'm gonna click to increase that all the way up. So let's say, so you can either click, or you can highlight it, or you can select it from the drop down. Let's say select 272. Let's say 72 is too small. 72 is, you can see 72 is the highest I'm seeing here. You can always go beyond that. You highlight and then you type. Let's say I want to go 120, enter. So that way I'm able to increase it way up. So I click I have my selection tool here. So your selection tool is what you use, what you highlight in order to be able to drag items around. So we've covered the selection tool so far. You've seen what the type tool also does. So I can just, let's say I go to my character formatting. I want to squish these letters together. They seem to, there's too much space within them, and then I can use this the tracking here. So I can reduce that. So I keep reducing that until I think I am doing well. So that looks good. All right. So I go back. So when you have your text tool highlighted or any other tool and you want to go back to your selection tool here, instead of having to go all the way and click, you can just press escape and the selection tool. So your selection tool is your default tool. So you can see here, I've been able to just throw in a cloud vector, a plus vector, and then my text in here to just come up with a very simple logo. I can drag over this and bring it to the middle. So you can see some purple. You can see this purple guideline that popped up here. It allows you to align your object relative to one another. All right, so this looks good. So we're gonna have in the downloadable section all these vectors, so that you can also practice this and create your first Cloud Plus logo.